Don't wing it when it comes to your invoicing and then sit around wondering why you're not getting paid on time or getting paid at all. Today, I'm going to share with you my 5 best tips and strategies to help you achieve a successful and seamless invoicing process. Here we go.
You an entrepreneur, I got what you need.
Hey there, my loves. Welcome back to CPTV. I'm CP, and this is the place for aspiring and growing entrepreneurs who want to turn their passions into businesses and their businesses into freedom. Does that sound like you? Well, does it? Then if it does, you are going to want to come on in, join the party, take a look around, and definitely subscribe. Because every single Tuesday, I am giving you the strategies and the step-by-step business processes that I have used over my 25-year entrepreneurial journey to implement immediately in your business so that you can get to that level of entrepreneurial freedom, your business humming along that you deserve and desire. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button and click that bell so that you don't miss any of it. And of course, if you like it, then show me. Smash that like button. It don't cost you a damn thing. And say, give me more processes, CP, in the comments below. So it is time to continue this Business Process Lab series. And this is the series where I walk you through all the detailed business processes that I have implemented in my businesses over the years. Consulting and coaching and online products and digital products and insurance and nonprofits and all kinds of stuff. But we are focusing on the basic core areas: your money in and money out processes, your marketing processes, your sales processes, and your service processes. And I will go ahead and link to that series, that playlist right now, so that you can binge the entire thing and get completely caught up, because it has been good. And today we are continuing. And as you know, my focus has been to really bring you clarity around which business processes and systems that you need to focus on creating first. Because if you're at a point for growth and you know you got to create business systems and processes, you may not know where to begin. And we started a couple weeks ago talking about the money. Right? And offering some insight into what your money processes should be so that you can document them, you can then delegate them, and with delegation, you can become free. All right? So let's get to work. Okay, so we already talked in last week's video about the money in process of accepting credit cards. We talked about the good, we talked about the bad, and we also talked about the ugly, what you should be considering, and how you can really set yourself up well to accept credit cards as a money in process. Well, today we're going to talk about the second way for you to really bring money in as a business, and that is invoicing. But before we jump in head first into invoicing, I want you to make sure that you grab the free guide to creating business processes that scale with an SOP template. It's going to walk you through the steps of actually creating these processes and documenting them effectively. And it is absolutely free for my CPTV family. That's you. So go ahead, click the link in the description and in the comment sections below and grab your free copy. It is life-changing, all right? I told you, I got you in this lab, y'all. I said I wasn't playing with you.
I did not come to play with you, hoes.
Don't you just love B? Did y'all, by the way, whole separate note, did y'all see that Icy Park drip campaign? Girl. Sis, okay, B is bringing it this time. I am so pumped about that. But anyway, getting back to the process at hand. I know B distracts me all the time too, y'all. I'm just saying. A lot of companies do use invoicing to receive payments and revenue into their business. For example, I still do, especially on the consulting side of my business in my done for you services. No, I got done for you, I've got done with you, and I've got do it yourself. And mainly it's because those things are higher ticket, higher priced services. I charge a lot for them. So if you and your business have services that could exceed $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 in cost and pricing, and you are specifically in a B2B transaction, so you're working with another business, which typically they would be, then invoicing is probably going to be a type of money in process that you will need and want to implement. And let me tell you, over the years, I have definitely learned so much about invoicing and so much about making sure that I could create the processes as seamless and as automated as possible in order to eliminate unnecessary mistakes and make sure that I get my payment, get my money promptly, okay? Prompt payment of my invoices is the goal. So I am here to tell you that if you don't have a good invoicing money in process set up in your business, it will create delays for you and you will not get your money on time. I'm just saying, you will be chasing people for your money because they won't have clarity or anything. It will be extremely unclear to them how to pay you because you won't have details. And that's ultimately going to affect whether or not you survive as a business, especially if invoicing is your main way to bring in revenue. Because before I had good invoicing processes in place, let me tell you, it cost me so much money and time and effort just to get my money from people. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that I didn't sit down and create a good invoicing money in process. So don't do that, okay? Don't be like me. Don't wing it when it comes to your invoicing and then sit around wondering why you're not getting paid on time or getting paid at all. Do everything you can to set up invoicing well so that you increase your chances of receiving your large payments on time and the way that you want to receive them, which is your business, right? Your business is extremely intrinsically depending upon getting your payments on time. So today I'm going to share with you my 5 best tips and strategies to help you achieve a successful and seamless invoicing process. Here we go. Number 1, pick a universal due date for all of your invoices and deliver them in a timely fashion. Now, I'm telling you this from experience. When I first started signing on clients, their invoicing dates were all over the place. Whenever they signed their contract, I would invoice them and then some would be due on the 10th and some would be due on the 15th and some would be due on the 1st and some would be due on the 5th. And all that did was create a lot of work for me internally because I had to then every single week pretty much process invoices. I realized that that was not conducive and I had to pay a lot of money in order to get that done and spend a lot of time. So I then began to realize it doesn't matter when my clients really contract with me if I make sure that no matter what, that invoice payment is due the same time every month for every single client. That meant that if all invoices for the company are due on the 1st or the 5th or the 15th of the month, I only needed to make sure that I scheduled time with my bookkeeper, with my payables person, with my receivables person, or even for myself in order to be able to send out those invoices. It was absolutely critical. So keeping the consistent invoice date was important to also how I delivered that invoice. In order for me to know that if they're due on the 1st of the month, then on the 22nd of the previous month, I knew invoices needed to be processed. That gave people 7 to 10 days to pay their invoices, which gave them ample time to get them processed internally. So just by making that simple shift in my invoicing process, meaning not everybody's all over the place, everybody has the exact same due date, allowed me to really block off my schedule and be consistent with my invoicing and not waste a whole lot of unnecessary time in the meantime, invoicing on all kinds of different days. Best practice and strategy number 2. Include invoicing schedules and ACH language in your contracts and service agreements. This changed the game for me, boo, okay? Once I determined that I was going to send out all of my invoices at the same time and date every single month, I just made sure that in my contracting and service agreement language, when it talked about fees and invoicing, it said no matter when the effective date is of this particular contract, your invoice, your first invoice, and all subsequent invoices are going to be due on the 5th of every single month. And I also put language in there that automatically included them allowing me to ACH debit that invoice. So I wasn't no longer going to need to make sure that I was waiting on physical checks to be mailed. Now, I did give it an option, and some clients came back and said, we don't have the capacity or the ability to do ACH here internally, which was a whole nother issue. Okay, I felt like I need to do some coaching with these folks so they can set that up. But ultimately, my first and automatic offer to my clients during contracting is that your invoices are going to be due on the 5th of every single month. And if you choose to ACH, I'm going to give you a discount or knock off 5%. That eliminated the need for me to actually receive a paper invoice. So if you can include in that service language the specific due date that you're going to be billing people to get everybody on the same schedule, but also automatically say these invoices are going to be ACH'd. And when you send the service agreement, send them an ACH authorization form so that you can input that into your system and the system will automatically be able to debit their checking account. And invoicing strategy number 3. No more manual processes. Deliver your invoices electronically and use software every single time. I cannot tell you how this will change your life. Nobody is interested in creating paper invoices on a regular basis, let alone sending them out and not giving their clients an opportunity to click a button and access information. That is where software comes into play. And I, from the very beginning, began using software, I think after my very first business, when over 60% of my invoices went unpaid. Software changed the game. I have used 2 different types of software, and I still currently do. QuickBooks allows you to invoice your clients electronically. And I know I did a video a long time ago about setting up your financial infrastructure in your business. I'll go ahead and link to that right here because that talks about setting up your QuickBooks when you set up your initial business infrastructure. So you can go ahead and check that out. But in any case, if you're using QuickBooks to kind of manage your accounting, it is an amazing method of ACHing as well as sending out electronic invoices. Now, I also use a system called Dubsado, and Dubsado has amazing workflows and all kinds of automatic invoicing structures in place. I shifted to Dubsado maybe a couple years ago, but ultimately they connect. So Dubsado integrates with my QuickBooks and they communicate with each other so that I can keep track of them. But regardless of what software you use, I'm telling you there are hundreds out there. I've probably used at least 10 in my career and did settle on the 2 that I just mentioned to you. Regardless of what you use, please make sure you use something. Gone are the days where you're sitting down making a Word document and emailing out a paper invoice or texting it to somebody, okay? You need to make sure you're using electronic software because in that software, it will send an electronic email to them and it will also incorporate follow-up strategies automatically into your process, encouraging you to send reminders to hold people accountable and ultimately be able to implement the next tip. And that brings me to tip number 4, strategy number 4. Have a follow-up sequence, timeline, and canned emails ready to go when invoices become due or past due. That is exactly what I was just talking about in my strategy number 3, right? If you're not using a software, it's going to be very difficult for you to follow up accurately. So you're going to want to make sure that you figure out what your follow-up process is going to look like. For instance, for me, we have an automatic email sequence that goes out to people on the day that it's due, reminding them that their due date is today. And then every 7 days after that, they receive a reminder. It is really important. They receive the invoice again, they receive a reminder again, and the language in each of those emails changes and gets more aggressive as the email follow-up follow-ups move forward throughout that process. So in essence, from the due date, every 7 days, my clients receive a reminder. And eventually they start to respond to me and let me know when they're going to be sending the invoice, or whether or not it's already been mailed, or whether or not they just want to go in and enter a one-time payment. If you don't have the software, it's very difficult to create this email follow-up sequence and then ultimately set up automatic reminders in your system. So make sure that you've taken the time to think through what your follow-up process is going to look like, and then create the email notifications and the reminders that you need in your system to ensure that when your invoices become due or past due, all the people who receive those invoices know what's up and can pay it. And that brings me to strategy number 5. Make sure that you have a collections process ready to go in case you have to use it. Now, what should your collections process include? Timing. Remember that follow-up sequence and that follow-up process that I just told you need to include? Well, at the end of that, the final thing is to begin a collections process. And that could be the final email saying you're 7 days away from being sent to collections. Now, my collections process automatically includes a letter from my attorney that they get copied on. And that's usually enough for me to send it to the client for them to know that I mean business. But whatever your collections process looks like, you need to make sure that you've got it in hand, that your team or whoever's processing your invoices are aware of that process, and that you've got some key tools and tricks in your arsenal to be able to automatically send out when you consider an invoice to end up in collections. Now, for me, it is beyond 30 days. Usually around the 60-day mark is when I will begin talking about collections. And have I ever had to send anybody truly to collections? No. The letter usually works, or at least they'll communicate with me when I haven't received it to kind of stop the process. But I also had in my arsenal, in my bag, a collections company or an individual that will actually begin to make collections calls. Now, somebody on my team who is responsible for invoicing does those collection calls. But at the end of that process, once the letter goes out, phone calls, and those letters are also sent out certified, the phone calls begin. So I've got a real true collection process in place. And that has impacted the fact that we have an 89% collection rate on all of our invoices in the first 60 days. And we've only ever in our existence in 25 years had one bad debt, meaning collections didn't even work, but that company ultimately ended up closing. So a collections process and having it mapped out is critical to being able to get your money when you're invoicing. Okay, so this is video 3 in our Process Lab series. And guess what? We just finished the money in processes, right? Just 2. Now it's time to begin with the money out processes. Aren't you excited?
I don't know.
I know. Nobody wants to talk about money going out or losing money, but we must discuss it, my love. We still have so much to cover. This is still just the beginning, because like I've already mentioned to you, for the next few weeks, we're going to be focusing on knocking your process documentation and creation out in 2021 for your business so that you can get on with growing and getting to that freedom. So if you are hella pumped about that, smash that like button and don't forget to subscribe in that bubble right there next to me. And so you can catch us every single week, next week included, every single week after that. Make sure you hit that bell, and don't forget to share this video with someone else that you know needs to work on their business processes so they can quit complaining and telling you what's not working. And make sure you grab that free guide to creating business processes that scale with a free SOP template included. Make sure you grab it so that you can actually get started documenting and creating some of the stuff I'm teaching you. And until next time, my loves, stay safe. I will see you on Tuesday. Bye-bye. Mwah.